Well, this is a complete first for the Practical Inspiration LinkedIn Live series with the Business Book Award finalists, because never before have I been with the authors of 2 books that are finalists in the same Business Book Awards cycle. I think this is probably unprecedented. But so huge congratulations, first of all, to Dr. David Oxley and Dr. Helmut Schuster for being shortlisted not only for A Groundhog Career, but also Artificial Death of a Career in 2 separate categories. Well done, you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a round of applause? Are there sound effects that we can add?
We'll drop that in later.
A bit of cheering?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you
everybody
so
watching
much.
is cheering.
And thank you so much for the introduction, kind introduction.
Well, it is absolutely phenomenal. So let's start by just sort of introducing, because they are not separate books in a sense, they are sort of part of the same series. So perhaps we could just start by introducing the Shea Sinope series and what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. The theme here comes back to Helmut and I setting ourselves a challenge. During the latter part of COVID, sort of 2022, we detected an enormous amount of disillusionment in people's careers, in working life. And the challenge that we set ourselves is, what could we do to help? Helmut mentors a great deal of people, either through his association with AFS or the very... I don't know if you heard that, but Siri wanted to answer that question for some reason.
Shut up, Siri.
In the middle of AI, yes.
How do we provide something in a format that might appeal to this audience? The sense was that there is a lot written on careers, but for whatever reason, it wasn't scratching the itch. It wasn't appealing to this audience. The great resignation of 2022 and 2023, the massive disillusionment backlash. So we came up with this concept of, well, how do we make career advice and professional advice more entertaining, more relevant for this new audience? And we started with the idea of, well, let's tell a story and then unpick what's going on in the story, try and make it relatable, but entertaining at the same time. That was the original nucleus, the nugget of the idea that then had us kick off this series of books, which center on a protagonist called Shea Sinope. Helmut, is that your recollection, or were there raspberries and croissants involved? What was your recollection?
No, this is absolute my recollection. We both thought it was time for us to write a book. I think that is very important. We all realized we both realized we had long careers. We were in touch and mentored so many young people, but we also realized there was something missing in the market. I think that was the key thing. We both are readers. I think David and I together probably read thousands of books in our lifetime and realized there was something missing, something more accessible to a new generation. And we also figured it would be nice to have a story, but also have a hero that we can follow through different stages in life. And so the whole series came about, and it's going to be ultimately 6. I'm not sure I'm supposed to say that. 3 have been written, so we're basically oh my God!
3 have been written, and 3 have been shortlisted at the Business Book Awards, which is phenomenal, because A Career Carol, with the first one, was I met you, David, at the awards last year.
Indeed, so, I tried to sneak up on stage and try and become get into the photograph for the winners. It was highly commended, in fact, which blew us away for our first attempt.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the sequence of the books, from A Career Carol through Groundhog Career to Artificial Death of a Career.
Well, the two that we're talking about today, A Groundhog Career and Artificial Death of a Career, have a certain sequential flavor to them, but they, in some senses, they could stand alone. For storytelling purposes, A Groundhog Career focuses on the protagonist at an early, sort of late 20 stage of his career, 10 years in, having chased promotions and become deeply disillusioned with the fact that they weren't fulfilling them, that the sense of emptiness in their life had increased, and the traditional things of promotions, recognitions at work were not somehow filling that hole for them. And it was leaning into the sense of burnout, quiet quitting, the Great Resignation, the sense of, well, there must be more to life than working 12, 14 hours a day and getting paid more money, because at the end of the day, that sort of runs out. It has a short runway. And how do we answer that? How do we address that? How do we fill in that vacuum that seems to appear in our lives? And then if we're fortunate enough to solve that, the second book then talks about, well, hang on a second, you can't just one trick for your entire career. At some stage, you have to learn to be able to do something else. And so the classic case of leaning into the artificial intelligence anxiety. We love the statistic at the moment, which is a scary statistic, that 70% of us are worried that AI is going to replace our jobs in the next 12 months. I mean, that's quite frightening. But only 15% of us are doing anything about it. And that disconnect between the two is extremely worrying, the anxiety without any sort of substantial action. And this comes back to why it's really, really hard to reinvent ourselves, why it's hard to change, why it's hard to take on something new. So artificial death of a career leans into how do we reinvent? And the protagonist at that particular stage of their career is in their late 30s, has to some very large extent succeeded by most people's expectations, but then gets ousted from their job unexpectedly. The classic, didn't see it coming. My job went away. I didn't see it coming. Now what am I going to do? What's my plan B? Oh, I don't have one. And so we follow that story. And along the way, there's an eccentric Greek detective. There's a artificial intelligence that becomes self-aware, and there are various other nuggets in there, including some missing Greek marbles.
The intrigue level is now through the sky.
Well, that's the intent. Make it interesting.
And I mean, in a sense, it's crass to us, this, because you've given us that statistic. You've put some context around it. But Helmut, if I just address this to you, why does this matter so much right now, do you think?
Well, the reason why it matters so much, and again, we go back to COVID, I think we realized that people are really, really struggling with their well-being, their life, their career. Most people, and this is the important thing, most people in their 20s do not believe that they will have a career like their parents had it. They don't believe that they can recreate the wealth their parents did. So I don't want to call it a lost generation, because I think it's an amazing generation, but I think they need guidance. And that's why I think it's so relevant, because there are many people, and when we started writing, there was not even the overlay of AI and all the changes that come with that. And so the anxiety level, I think, has significantly increased ever since. And so that's why we feel, and we always talk about, we don't really so much are worried about making money, or that's not the thing, or even awards. Obviously it's very nice to win awards, but we want to be ready, because we really believe that with a message that would create a better world and create a better life for many young people if they would all read it rather than be on Instagram or TikTok. So that's a bit of the message. We believe there's a big message many should be listened to.
And I think it's so true that the advice that most people can give and the books that most people can read just don't speak to the situation that young people find themselves in. So yeah, the way that you have addressed it, I think is really helpful. And it has definitely resonated, because not only, of course, are you shortlisted for these awards, you've also won the People's Prize for non-fiction for a Groundhog Career, which is really exciting as well, and bodes well, I think. I'm choosing to interpret that very positively.
Is it the Golden Globes, perhaps, to the Oscars? We're liking
I think
that.
The sky's the limit. Yes, absolutely. Maybe we'll get the movie rights sold, and we'll take it from there.
It would make a good movie. It would make a really good movie.
Yeah.
Oh my
absolutely.
God.
Yeah. So let me just ask you both. I mean, in a sense, maybe you're blasé about this now. Maybe you're just winning so many awards, being shortlisted for so many things that you just go, and move on. But how did you react when you found out that both books had been shortlisted this year?
I think you have to say thrilled, because there's as much, I think maybe secretly you hope for it. I mean, there's having had it with the Career Carol experience, which was all very unexpected. now with 2 books out there that we actually think are an improvement. I think we have, as we've gone along as authors, I think we have figured out what works, what doesn't work. The readers have given us feedback. We've tried to incorporate that. As Helmut very eloquently said, we're very much engaged with the audience in a way of saying, well, does this work? Does this appeal more? Is this more interesting? Is this a better format? And so as you do that, I think you get better. And I think you get better as writers, because the more you write, the better I think you are at it. So I think Groundhog Career is a great book, and it learns all the lessons from A Career Carol. Artificial Death of a Career is also a very, very good book, he says very modestly. But in the sense of getting into the finalists, the competition this year was extraordinary. There were some 300 or 400 books or more. There, based on my skimming of the titles, they all are very good. So it's a high bar to get in. So I think you just have to be thrilled. You just have to say, these are pinch yourself moments. I didn't think 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, we'd be writing books, let alone getting nominated for awards. So it's a wonderful, wonderful acknowledgement and recognition, and it sort of encourages you. It gives you a bit of a boost. You can't help but to go, oh, actually, maybe we're onto something here.
This is landing. What about you, Helmut? Did you do the funky chicken around the kitchen?
Yeah, kind of, not really. I mean, the thing is, David and I are very different in that regard. I'm not really into awards and winning and these things. And even when I was a competitive swimmer, and even when I won, it was more about the process rather than about the winning. But when you win, you just love it. But the interesting thing this time around, I had a very different reaction, because I think both David and I always had doubts, because we really created a new category of writing. Yeah. Story followed by advice, highlighted with drawings, and a very, very succinct summary of each chapter for the lazy reader. And I'm not sure if it would work. We didn't know whether it would work with an audience, whether we were doing something no one was interested in. So for me, this award being nominated was a really, really big thing. Yeah? So I was reflecting on that a lot, because it's a validation of creating something new and being acknowledged for that. So I felt really, really proud of that.
Yes, you should. I think that's a very good point, actually. In most of the books that there are on merit, obviously, they're very, very good books, but you really have broken the genres, and that validation that it's something that's not just worked, but is particularly valuable and relevant to the audience that you're writing for, I think is definitely part of the message here.
We do like the idea of creating a new genre. We suggested that it could be a professional advice narrative tales, because we quite like that acronym.
Yes, I've just got it. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if you can market that for us, Alison, but we feel that there's definitely legs in that.
Pants and practical inspiration. I'm sure we can absolutely work with that. Yes, thank you. Brilliant. Right, we must end it there. But thank you both for your time today. And I'm going to keep everything crossed for September. I very much hope
we will see you there.
You'll have one each. Yes, we'll see you there on a night in September. And whatever happens, it's going to be fantastic. But yeah, thank you for doing something so brilliantly original and absolutely, I think, what the moment calls for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being our publisher and supporting us. It's such a wonderful job.